Hello friends, welcome back. Time once again to pluck them member berries with missing link, Grimlock. Oh man. So I've made no secret that I've absolutely loved the missing link. I'm torn on Ironhide and Ratchet. I am. I'm a little torn on them. But so far everything else has been fantastic. We just got our confirmation. What everybody assumed was going to be the first Decepticon in the line is going to be Soundwave. Everybody knew that going into it, I think. We just saw pictures of him, and I really like what they're doing with him. But for now, we have the king himself, Grimlock. So let's take a look here at the packaging. And right up front, once again, we're recreating that G1 packaging aesthetic. A styrofoam insert with a new artwork of our Grimmy right here. We've got our change steps up here. And what's cool is his final step here is actually the same pose as the original box art, which is pretty cool. C12, Cybertron, Missing Link, Grimlock, T-Spark logos. There we have Grimlock, Transformers, Takara, Tomy. On the back of the box, we have our tech specs. Same old. And this artwork, which is very interesting, because this artwork has stuff in it that I don't remember from this artwork on the original packaging, and we'll show that off here in a minute. But then here on this side, once again, Grimlock in both modes, and the bottom of the box, words, things, Japanese, can't read it. So, I just happen to have a G1 Grimlock box. Once again, there's that pose that he's got going on right there. And then transformation up there. And here's this artwork. And this is what I remember this artwork. But something's different here. So we got, Grimlock munching on an Insecticon. We got the other Dinobots up here. Some more Insecticons. We've got that. Because if you look here, instead of Shockwave up here, we've got Swoop over here. But we've got a Blitzwing here, and here we got Jetfire. Got the other Dinobots over there. We got those there as well. Got some other Dinobots in robot mode. So, and then of course, we got Devastator down here. So I don't know if they've updated this artwork for the missing link. I don't know. Somebody out there knows. If you know, let me know in the comments. Now, in the box, you get your obligatory instructions that, screw those. We get our paper thin card with that same artwork on it, the little loop right there, and the little read up tech specs there on the back. We get our tech specs decoder, and just like all the rest, we do get a sticker sheet. None of the factory stickers on here, just the stickers you applied on the original Grimlock, which of course you don't need. Is just there to sort of recreate the experience. And hey, if you got a G1 Grimlock that needs new stickers, there you go. And then homaging those original catalogs that came with the original Transformers, we have our Missing Link catalog. And it's full of good pictures of things that we've already taken a look at for the most part. I believe Big Bad Toy Store's already gotten this guy in. I have him on pre-order from Hasbro Pulse. I haven't decided if I'm still going to get him. We'll see. And then where we have our Grimlock, as well as his cartoon accurate version right there. And here we have the Trypticon versus Metroplex artwork there. RC, Bumblebee, Cordon, Sunstreaker, Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, Optimus, Nemesis, and so on. Now moving right along to what you get in the box. You of course get his double barrel gun here. And there is some molding difference between the original and this one. Minor molding difference, but there is a little bit of difference. You get his missile launcher, as well as a sprue of missiles, picked out in chrome, just like on the vintage one. You can see here. However, much like on Ultra Magnus, they have removed the firing functionality. So I don't know exactly why. I know why on Ultra Magnus, because of the new gimmick that they put in there, kind of took away the room for it. But I don't know why they're doing it here, other than to ensure that it can sell here in the States, maybe. Because, you know, that's why here in the States they never put the springs in these anymore. But yeah, it just fits in. Now, unlike the Ultra Magnus, however, this does fit in your vintage launcher, albeit barely. That hook on that trigger is holding on for dear life on this, and it makes it a very hair trigger. But these will work with your vintage if you need to replace a missile. It does also come with his sword, this time, however, picked out in chrome. So the original Diaclone versions of these had the chrome weapons, but when they brought these here to the States for the Transformers, we got red plastic weapons. And interestingly enough, this sword is also longer. Look at that. And continuing the tradition, we've got a Diaclone figure, this time tricked out to kind of look like, sort of like Carly with a chrome head. And once again, much like the not maybe Spike Diaclone figure, it is homaging those first wave of Diaclones, the very first females that they did in the line, just with some new detailing to make it look more like, again, like kind of like Carly. There you go. And just like all the other Diaclone figures that have come with these guys, they have the most basic articulation. These are on ball joints here at the shoulders, but you don't really get any in and out, just barely any, as well as ball socketed hips with barely any movement there, and mostly just forwards and back, nothing at the head, nothing at the waist, and you do have the tiny little magnets in the feet. And now on to the main event. Here is our Grimmy. Him no bozo, him king. Rawr. Rawr. And yeah, I mean, if you didn't know what you were looking at, you might think you were looking at just a straight up G1 Grimlock, but he's not. So yeah, all the sculpted detail that you would expect to be here is here. There definitely is a few more molding differences here, like his eyes are definitely a little bit bigger than his vintage counterpart, or his G2 counterpart, my old busted G2. You can see those eyes are noticeably bigger. Another little neat detail here. That screw right there is not a screw. It's just sculpted to look like a screw because, you know, the old Dinobots, the old Grimlocks had screws there. That's where his legs were screwed together. Got a rub sign right here. On mine, this was already peeling off in the box. You kind of see that corner right there. So I don't know if maybe it was just the heat, because I do live in a very hot area here, but you can see that rub sign does work. But everything else on here, just like all the other Missing Link figures, this is sculpted and painted beautifully, recreating those stickers in 3D with nice metallic paints and a very nice attention to detail. Going down the tail there, just absolutely gorgeous. A nice, very yellow gold right there. Got the Autobot symbol there. Again, those stickers picked out. And of course, the Autobot symbol here is a tampo. Now that does get rid of the ridges that he had right there to make that Autobot symbol flat. Same thing with that right there. You can kind of see his knee stickers here. And of course, we kind of already did that, but just because we can, here he is with his G2 self, my old busted G2 figure. And here he is with his G1 self. Now, of course, we finally have a use for the Diaclone seat now that he has a Diaclone buddy. So you can just have her or any other little Diaclone pilot you might have just sit there in the seat, and now he is a Dino Rider. Hardest the power, wrong toy line. And you can keep her in there and fold that up if you want to. She fits in there just fine. It's not hard to get her out of there, but her feet can get caught in that little ridge down in there. Just something to be mindful of if you're thinking about doing that. I will say on both my vintage and on my G2 Grimlock, this sort of snaps into place because it's got little bumps right there to help it snap into place. It does not have those here, so this just frictions up and down instead of snapping into position. Now, the other thing, of course, with the missing link is new modern articulation. So Grimmy, he still has his bendable knees, and he still has his forward and back on the hips, only now these hips are ratcheted, which is cool. And he can still up and down on the arms, and he can still up and down on the head, really tight on mine, and he can still open his mouth, and he does have the little flamethrower detail sculpted in there. But now, he can wag his tail. You didn't know this was important, did you? You didn't know what you were missing. That tail wag. Yeah, that's special. He also now has this. He can do this. He can totally do that. He can pee on a fire hydrant. I swear I'm normal. I swear I'm normal. I'm not on anything yet. We now have thigh swivels here. He does still have the articulation here at the claws, but now his claws are individually articulated, so he can wiggle and waggle his toes all he wants. And the best part of his articulation is right here, because after over 40 years of standing like this, Grimlock can finally rest his arms. So he's got up and down right here at the shoulder, as well as an elbow bend here at his arms. And lastly, he now has a neck swivel. So with all of that together, you can get Grimlock into some nice dino roaring poses. And with those ratcheted hips, if you wanted to, you could get him in the Jurassic Park T-Rex stance as well. So, there's a thing that's a thing you could do if you wanted to do it. Okay, now on to transformation. I mean, if you have a G1 Grimlock, you kind of know what to expect. There is one little extra step that they've done here, which is kind of neat, and we'll get to that in a second. But just like before, now originally you could just pull this up and snap it back, but due to that new hinge, they've sort of reworked how this connects. So you do kind of want to open that up and fold the head back. Now, much like the Diaclone version of this, his head flips down. On the American release and the G2 release, this is now pegged into place. There's like a little hole with a peg that goes through it that keeps this head upright, whereas on the Diaclone, this was a separate piece that went there. Also, because we're right here, I want to point this out. So on the G1 Grimlock, as well as his G2 counterpart, that little bar right there is die-cast metal. Here, that bar is plastic, and it's vac metal plastic. So he still has die-cast everywhere else he's supposed to have die-cast, but for some reason they decided that bar was a bridge too far. Anyway, just untab this, flip it up, tab that into place, press in the forearms till they snap into place, split the tail, pop the legs, fold them around, spread his legs until they snap into place, lower them back down, and there is your missing link Grimlock in robot mode. And so yeah, once again, it looks like a G1 Grimlock with just much better paint and sculpted detail. There's those knee stickers that are no longer stickers. We saw all this in Dino mode, but now we've got his little hip details right there. And again, we saw these chest bits in Dino mode as well. One very interesting bit is he no longer has hollow bits. So G1 Grimlock was one who had hollow legs. Now he's got these filled in, pinned together. And so yeah, and of course now we expose these, which look absolutely gorgeous, sculpted and painted like that. And once again, for comparison, here he is with his G1 counterpart and his busted G2 counterpart. And yeah, looks really, really good. Now in this mode, there is some lost detail. So G1 Grimlock had sculpted detail here inside of his door, chest wings, however you want to call it. right in there. But he does not have those. That sculpted detail is gone. We just have some waffling in here to give some strength to these pieces, as well as the new little bit there for his, new arm articulation, which is kind of interesting because Ultra Magnus, they did all of his little internal detailing. So Grimmy just sort of lost out. And of course, we can see how this has the new connector here. See, that's very different right there to account for that head articulation. And now he doesn't have the little clips here anymore, as his wings are now clean. And lastly, for giggles, here he is with our missing link Optimus and our new Studio Series Starscream, just for some more size comparisons. Now, we mentioned that Grimlock has something new here in his robot mode, and that is a new transformation step that they've given him. Or 2 new transformation steps that they've given him. So transformation step 1 that they've given him is they've added little heel spurs back here. Gonna have to pull these out and flip those around, because Grimlock is a very back-heavy robot. He's always been a very back-heavy robot. In fact, I was actually surprised that my G2 was standing. But the other thing that they did here, because Grimlock has always looked like he was drawn by Rob Liefeld in his earlier days with the Captain America chest there. Like his shoulders are here and his head's way back here. And so Takara said, you know what, we're going to fix that. So what they've done here is you now have this panel right here in the head that you can rotate around, snap into place, and now Grimlock's head is right where it's supposed to be. And that looks really, really good. Now, of course, the name of the game is Modern Engineering and Articulation. So let's talk about that modern articulation. So the head is on a swivel, but you can use that transformation joint to get him looking down and get him looking up. You do still have the full 360 here, but just like on Dino mode, you now have the in and out. You can see that new joint down here, and there's the real screw. Fake screw, real screw. Gotta love that. We now have an elbow bend. So Grimlock could never bend his elbows before. We do have that bicep swivel that transfers over from Dino mode. We have a wrist swivel, which that's really kind of neat. You gotta make sure that your arm is fully collapsed to get access to it. But yeah, he can rotate his wrist, and he can open up his fingers, kind of, sort of. So he's got opening fingers, but, he still has a closed fist underneath there. But, hey, it's a thing you can do. Now, sadly, Grimmy does not get anything at the waist just due to how he transforms. So no waist articulation or ab crunch here. Just a solid piece. That waist is still die cast like it should be. And now here at the hips, of course, you have the in and out. And they've reworked how this fastens into place back here, so you can go in and out without pulling down the hips. We do also have, of course, he still has that hinge right there, which was part of giving him enough clearance for transformation, but now they've added a hinge right there, so he can kick forward only about that far and kick back about yay far. We have a thigh swivel, a little looser than I would like it to be on my copy. It's not loose, but it's not super tight. It's very easy to sort of knock around. And of course, he still has that knee bend from his transformation. And now we also have foot articulation. So these feet are separate pieces. You just detach them and move them down. And we have forward and back here on that toe, as well as side to side on that ankle. Meaning to say you can get some very nice dynamic posing out of this guy. And of course, you can still have him hold his weapons. They didn't change anything with that. And you can have him join the fight against the Decepticons. Now, sadly, much like the vintage Grimlock, there's really nowhere you can put his other missile launcher. It doesn't peg onto him in Dino mode like a couple of the Dinobots did. He, doesn't have a place to holster it. And used to, what I would do is I would take this, since I had this Grimlock here on the shelf, I would just take the missile launcher and just stick it back there like that. And boom, there you go. You got a missile launcher over his head, right there. But due to the way this is designed, unfortunately, you can't do that here. But hey, if you got a G2 Grimlock like I do, who's old and busted and doesn't have any weapons, well, guess what? Now he's got a gun. Grimlock's got a gun. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I just discovered this as I was messing with this guy about to close out the video. So yeah, he's got this articulation here, which exposes those joints right there. But he's got another joint right below that. So he could actually go like that if you really wanted to. So he's got even more range of motion than I originally thought. And so, yeah, that's basically it for Missing Link Grimlock. And my God, I love this. How long do you think it'll be before we see Megatron and the Seekers? Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, I got this from Hobby Link Japan, not a sponsor. He is still available for pre-order pretty much all over the place. I'm not getting the cartoon version of this guy, but he's also available out there. So if you're into this, I highly recommend it. I think he's solid. He's a lot of fun. He's very enjoyable. And hopefully we'll see some of the other Dinobots someday. But I kind of doubt it. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Y'all have a good one.